Business Leaders Legacy Podcast, the show where we go behind the scenes with business leaders to uncover the vision, strategy, and challenges they face along the way. Today, we have Daniel Gibbs, founder and owner of Gibbs Electric Services. Daniel, thank you for coming out today. We really appreciate it. Can you introduce yourself and tell our listeners a little bit about you, your business, and the customers you serve?
Yeah, so my name's Daniel, like you said. Um, I own Gibbs Electric Company. We mainly service residential, custom homes, multifamily, and we do a lot of ADUs and remodels and stuff like that. We do dabble in some commercial here and there, but it's mostly residential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, Daniel, what inspired you to start your own business and start Gibbs Electric Services? And what's the most rewarding part?
So my big uncle Mike and my grandpa, they were both business owners, and I I admired both of them as a kid because I seen how everybody admired them and respected them, and they were the boss and everybody turned to them, and they were leaders and kind of like the alpha males, if you will, of the family. And I believe they're the only ones in our families that ever owned businesses. And I kind of gravitated towards you know, I guess you would say the limelight that they have when you see people that are just very always wanting to shake their hand and, you know, give them praise or say thank you to them and whatnot. I I wanted that same thing, you know. And I was always, like I said earlier, was always good at generating money one way or another. And I knew at a young age I was going to own my own business. I had no idea that it was going to be electrical. Didn't grow up in a construction background, didn't grow up doing any type of manual labor like that at all. When I actually first started off as an electrical apprentice, I didn't even know how to read a tape measure correctly. I had to get one of those like cheater ones that actually had the quarters and it said quarter and eighth and all that stuff because I just didn't know. Um, and funny story, I was actually my entire life I was told that I was colorblind. And I believed it for a really long time. I just kind of like accepted it for what it was. And when I got the job, I went to Home Depot and bought a book that had it was like a Home Depot like home electrical wiring of some sort, but it had all the different colors of wires that we use in commercial or residential, and it said the colors next to them. So I memorized those colors and I taught myself my colors in my 20s. It
Yeah,
was pretty funny.
that's neat. That's
Yeah.
super neat. Dude, that's cool. That's cool to hear how you came up and started plowing the way and making this business happen through the experience and yeah, that's super cool. Super
Yeah.
cool. And so one of the things, just to kind of get to know you and how your business runs and how you do things, how do you balance being both the owner and hands-on operator within your business?
So when I first started, um, obviously I started, with just me, right? When I left the company to start, I bought a really trashy plumber's van or box truck. I don't even know what it's called. It's cutaway. It was hideous. So I sanded that thing, painted it, and got it wrapped and stuff. Actually, my first mentor helped me get it wrapped, which was really cool. But now I'm not in the field with my bags on. So balancing it now is a lot easier than it was before because before I was working all day and then would come home and be in my garage, which was super hot all night until about 12 o'clock, just trying to do paperwork and get more bids done, answer emails. I was actually so bad at balancing certain things. I wasn't used to like checking my emails every day, because I never had to. I was just a field guy. you know. So there was a lot of learning curves in the business side of it and managing the paperwork side that I didn't really have any experience in before, because it was just do the job and go home, right? Like I knew how to do certain kind of paperwork, like change orders and stuff like that. But when it came to actually billing or creating a legitimate estimate, and when I say a legitimate estimate, I'm not saying, oh, I look at a job and go, oh, I think it's going to cost about $500. I started bidding jobs that were like $80,000.
Yeah.
And, when you go from a couple $1,000s to an $80,000 job, that takes a lot more time.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot more details involved. And it was only a matter of like a couple months where I was like, that's it. I need to hire another guy because I can't do this. And then hiring him just created more work because now we're doing more stuff. And then I hired another guy. And then I hired another guy. And then I hired another guy. At one point, I was like real quick I think within my first year, I had like 5 guys. And that that burden was a whole nother like sense of like I have to figure out how I'm going to pay all these guys
Yeah.
and then balance, the all of the overhead and the materials and all the stuff. So I was fortunate, like a year, maybe, yeah, maybe 2 years down the line, I was blessed with a mentor. He was a business mentor. He's a Christian guy. He owns a really big electrical company called Casey's Electric, and he's here out of El Cajon. Solid guy, so much love and respect for that man, um, because he actually showed me that I needed to fully step away from the field outside of doing maybe project management, right? Where I'd show up on the job, make sure the guys got what they need, make sure they're doing things to our standards, and meeting with homeowners or contractors to kind of just show face and be the representative that I'm called to be.
Yeah.
That was a game changer for me.
Yeah.
So now I spend most of my time in front of a computer or walking the jobs, like hustling. I'm trying to get the work, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
do it myself. But that guy, he was such a blessing, man. He showed me how to track jobs,
Yeah.
how to pay attention to my money, that I should separate my certain monies, just set certain things up the way that the business is supposed to set up. Was before it was just like everything was in one bank account. I
Yeah.
was living out of that bank account. Like the card was just getting swiped for everything, and then there was no real like balance of this is the business and this is my personal check. So now
Yeah.
I the company cuts me a check every week, and that's based off of whatever my finances are in life. Whereas in
Yeah.
and that was huge. So being able to separate that and get me out of the field, like that was probably one of the hardest things for me to do, because I'm a control freak,
Mm.
and I I'm a field guy. I take pride in I took pride in being the best electrician.
Yeah.
And he had made a statement to me one day. He was like, if you're going to always be the best electrician, you're never going to get out of the field. You need to hire the best electrician so that you can stay out of the field. And he can just completely change my mind and my
Yeah.
outlook on what being a business owner is. And
Yeah.
if I wanted to scale my business in any way, shape, or form, I can't do it with my bags on.
Yeah.
So,
No, that totally makes sense. That totally makes sense. Like thank God for those mentors in our life.
oh man, yeah, he
Yeah.
talk about a game changer. And it's I have to say that that's a very rare thing. At least for me in my life, it's rare. Because even when I was first coming up, like certain things aren't shared with you
Yeah.
out of fear of you going out and doing your own thing. So certain tricks or certain knowledge isn't going to be thrown your way because so many people are just afraid that you're going to take what you get and you're going to run. And to an extent, I understand that, but on the flip side, it's like not everybody's cut out to be a business owner. So
Yeah.
it's I don't know. He completely changed a lot for me,
That's
and
cool.
I still meet with him to this day, man. I
Yeah.
hope that never ends because
Yeah.
he's
No, that's really
yeah,
cool. That's
he's an
really cool.
awesome dude.
Yeah, no, that's super cool. Um, yeah, so I wanted to kind of transition a little bit into just kind of trends within the industry. And so, have you noticed specifically here in San Diego things, certain trends that are more common than others? Things like, smart homes or EV chargers or energy efficiency within the electric business.
Well, in California specifically, things are constantly changing,
Hmm.
especially when it comes to like energy sufficiency. Solar had its big boom. Obviously, the electrical cars are a big thing, so everybody's having those. So now, anytime you build a new home, it has to be prepared for solar and an electrical car charger because it's now a requirement to at least
Oh,
be
really?
prepared for it. So but one of the bigger trends I think is the ADUs. There's a lot of those, additional units that are going up in people's backyards, and we do a ton of those. They're smart. It's passive income. It's creating more homes for people because the housing shortage is crazy in San Diego because everybody wants to live here, even though they can't
Yeah.
afford it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, but I think those would probably be some of the bigger trends. I mean, as far as like the products and stuff that we put in the house, that's forever changing. It's getting
Yeah.
trickier, it's getting more strict, it's more expensive,
Yeah.
so those things are always changing.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Definitely something I definitely could imagine. It's probably always like that wheel is always turning, always new things coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you. So getting into more of your business, I think the listeners would like to know what are things that are going well for Gibbs Electric right now? What are things that you're proud of?
Our team, that I would have to say is my proudest, like I would say accomplishment, if you will.
Yeah,
Our team it's fun. All the guys that work here they're awesome. A couple of them are believers, and even the ones that may be not full-blown believers, they're still really awesome and they're open and they're respectful. Everyone's clean and sober, you know.
yeah,
Um, they're smart, they're humble, they care about the product that they leave
yeah.
behind, the
Oh, that's
finished product. They're respectful, they communicate well, and they're honest,
yeah,
and they show up every day. And in the days they don't show up, it's never anything funky. Like my guys just get along so well, and I can't explain. I can't even like. I don't even know how to like put into words how awesome that is because I've worked at so many different companies where the culture is just me, 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 me,
yeah,
where people throw each other under the bus or, they're talking mess behind each other's back. And here it's like, no, we want you to, I want them to come for my job.
yeah,
And I want them to come for each other's job. Like whoever the lead guy is, that person underneath him needs to understand your job is to try to take his job because that's
yeah,
the only way we're going to grow. Right. So
yeah,
there's a healthy, I don't know necessarily if it's competition, but there's that healthy understanding that that's the goal, right?
yeah.
Like
No, that
let's
makes sense.
take each other's positions so that we can grow,
Yeah,
because trying to keep somebody under your thumb and keep them at bay because you know you don't want to pay them more is just that's how you have a turnover rate, you
Yeah.
know. And I've worked for those companies, and obviously that's why I'm not there. But
Yeah.
um, uh,
Yeah.
I think the team is what makes me the proudest, and the
Yeah.
fact that
No.
they all want to grow together, and not just in work, but as a team.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. That makes total sense. I know I've totally feel the same thing. Working in a team with people that are uplifting, encouraging, like people that you want to be around,
Yeah,
makes such a big difference. Makes
huge difference.
how many people do you have on your team?
Four right now. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're at four. It
awesome.
kind of fluctuates. Like right now, things are weird in construction. You know, it's just the kind of like the time of the year where, especially when you have all this tariff stuff going on, we have a ton of work in the pipeline, but then you have people who are getting a little bit more cautious on spending money, you
Yeah,
know? So that right there is a bit of a struggle when it comes to like the growth part, you know, and you got even a lot
yeah,
of the bigger companies that are laying a ton of people off. Like
yeah,
union guys are just there's a lot of them are sitting at home because people aren't wanting to spend money because they have to get used to this change in how much material cost, or people,
yeah,
you know, big investors aren't spending money because they're waiting to see what's going to happen with an election or whatever,
yeah.
you know.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. Um, yeah, thinking now, kind of on the flip side, what are areas in challenges that you may be having within your work, within your business, bottlenecks, headaches, things like that.
Um, Scheduling is always a challenge, you know.
Yeah,
That's always it's always a fun thing to try to master, especially in residential. Residential is a lot different than the bigger commercial stuff. Like one thing I love about commercial is that it's this the professionalism is a lot higher, right? And when you have a schedule for that, like it's let's go boom, 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 boom.
yeah,
You
yeah,
everybody gets the schedule, you know who's going to be where at what time, and things are going to flow. And when change orders happen, you know, there's a professional process to that. Whereas in residential, it's not so much like that all the time. You know, it's I can get sometimes I'll get a phone call and say, "Hey, the project's ready for you. Can you start tomorrow? Can you start Monday?" And it's Thursday, and I'm like booked out for the next 2 months, man. What do
yeah,
you mean? Like, where was the heads up? Even you know, I
yeah,
called you a week ago and you said, "Oh, we whatever." But scheduling is always a, a pain in the butt, you know.
yeah,
You try to do your best to get ahead of it as much as you can, but things are forever changing. Customers change their mind. Like I said before, money's a big issue for people in residential
yeah,
because you know you're dealing with homeowners. You know,
yeah,
a lot of times they're not big investors where they just have this endless pit of money.
yeah.
So things scheduling, I think, is one of the bigger things, and you know, struggle with getting paid on time.
Yeah,
You know, that's always a fun thing, but
yeah.
you know,
No, that
it's a
makes
part of it.
That makes sense. Yeah, that's a part of it. In regards of measuring success in your business, what do you look for to track performance? Is it like the amount of projects? Is it, customer satisfaction, the amount of revenues coming in, or how do you measure success in your business?
Um, so I think everybody's measure of success is different, right? Like
Mhm.
I think that differs from each individual. I think for me, I'm still kind of trying to figure out what my measure of success really is. So if I were to sit back and say, uh, my measure of success would be I work 2 days out of the week, right? That would be my measure of success. How long it's going to take me to get there, I don't know. I'm still young, I'm still new, I'm still learning a whole lot. There's still a lot that I have to, I'm growing through, mentally and emotionally, because this thing is a roller coaster, but
Yeah.
God's grace is awesome, and I believe I got what it takes. So,
Yeah.
but as far as like right now, I think we measure our success based off of how well we're following our systems that we have in place now, right? Like, and that's changing though too, because like every day there's something new, something happens where like maybe one of the guys skips a step and they don't understand why it's so important, and we kind of have to fall back a bit and revisit that. And I'm grateful because the guys are very open to taking constructive criticism, and I
Yeah.
think I think I deal it well now. Whereas in before, I used to be really hot-headed with it because I'm so stressed out. But um, that's kind of like a hard question for me to answer fully. And that was actually one of the ones I was looking at. I'm like, dang, how do I answer that?
Yeah.
How do I how do I answer what my measure of success is? Um, because like I have the vision of what I want the company to grow, what I want the company to become,
Yeah.
how I want it to look. But to measure success, I mean, I'm a very simple guy. I think that I don't so to go back to like the whole thing that we were talking about in the very beginning when I said that God said to me, you're creating this business for me. With that same word, later down the line, I'm creating a business so I can give it away. So when I can give this business away to the guys that helped me start it, that's going to be my measure of success.
Yeah. That's cool.
Right.
That's honorable, man.
I want my
That's really
business,
cool.
it's not my business, right? But I want the business to grow in such a way that I can give it to those guys, meaning it become an employee-owned business. So that yes, I do want to be compensated for the work that I do, right? And I do want the business to at some point make it to where I still get paid even if I'm not at work 40 hours a week, but I want to give it away.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, that's
That's
so that's I think that's my measure. Not think, I know that that's my measure of
That's
success.
yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, and I'm sure there's so many different factors, from point A to where you at to point B to where you want to be, and
Oh
there's
yeah.
so many different things that influence that. And
Oh
so,
yeah.
yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool to hear. All right, so thinking about in regards to business operations and as you kind of go through, um, if you had to point out one or two spots in your business where things either slow down or waste time, what would that be?
Estimating.
Estimating.
Hands down, man.
Yeah.
Estimating. I just spent I don't know how many 8-hour days estimating this one job. Okay. The job, it wasn't even necessarily that big of a job, but it was a very detailed job. And I created this very detailed scope of work with the price and all that good stuff. And I send it to the contractor, and then the homeowner has a mental breakdown because it's so expensive. And then there comes the revisions, right? So then I spent I don't know how many more hours revising what I just spent. I don't know how many more hours prior to that to make these changes, right? And it's just me doing. I'm sitting in this office for hours on end, just changing quantities, changing material types, shopping for material, going back and forth with my supply house about the price changes and the quantity differences and the material swaps for this, that, and the other. You're doing all this just to hopefully get the job.
Yeah.
And that probably takes more of my time than anything. Um, it's definitely the estimating.
Yeah.
So that's that's probably the biggest headache at all of it, because small business owners like me, where it's just me doing all the office stuff, the billing, the estimating, and all that. The billing's easy. I can sit on my couch and do the billing on my laptop and watch a football game and or whatever. I don't watch football. I'm just using it as an example, but
Yeah.
I can do that anywhere. Sitting at the beach right before I go surfing, get all my billing done real quick. But estimating is different. You have to be very careful. You gotta dot your I's and cross your T's because you
Yeah.
make any mistakes, you're married to that mistake and
Yeah. No,
you're
that
gonna
makes
pay for
sense.
it,
That
right?
makes sense. That totally
Yeah,
makes sense. Yeah. Estimating definitely seems like it has its can be very detailed,
yeah,
very time consuming.
yeah.
Yeah. So I did want to take this last little bit of time and kind of transition to talk about where you're heading. What's the future? And so where do you want your business to be in the next 6 to 12 months? Is it more crew, bigger projects, or different markets? Where do you want to be?
I am right now, I'm really focusing on our clientele, right? I love the clients that I have now. I'm extremely grateful for them. Um, don't ever want to lose them, but I also want to gain more clients, more professional, bigger clients that do, bigger projects. And I don't know how to really explain it, but
Still
uh,
in the residential or
well,
more
yeah, residential is kind of like our bread and butter. Like my guys are really good at residential. It's we kind of have that down packed. It's it's in the bag. So it's like you want to focus on what we're great at and continue to grow in our processes, right? And
mm,
and make sure that our processes of of the day-to-day processes are just bulletproof, as bulletproof as possible. And I think that focusing on that alone will help us get into those bigger projects. I mean, we love doing commercial too, because to be honest with you, commercial is easier than residential. It is so easy. The plans that you get for residential or for commercial are like your Bible. It's so easy. It's not even funny. The circuits are figured out for you. The lighting schedule's
yeah,
figured out for you. The circuitry's figured out for you. The size pipe, the size wire, everything you have to do because they have electrical engineers who make it very easy for you.
dial
They're
all
not
that in
perfect
before.
all the time,
Yeah,
but they're easier. Whereas in residential, you are the electrical engineer,
yeah,
you are the lighting designer, you you're everything, right?
yeah,
So I think the goal would be to really focus on getting more into multi-family homes, like the bigger ones, because we do them now on a smaller scale, like a 8 to 12 unit apartment complex or something like that. But I think it would be really awesome for us to get into, the 20s, 30s, 50s, 60s, hundreds.
yeah,
That would be awesome. Not too sure how my guys feel about that because they like the custom home stuff and because the finished product on that, it's so much more rewarding when you're in a custom home and you go in there and you touch a button and then all of these lights come on and the under cabinet lights come on.
yeah,
You're not going to get that doing an apartment complex. You're
yeah.
getting a light switch with a ceiling fan.
That's right.
um but I don't know, I get torn between that, which way that should go. But ultimately I would like to see us with about 20 employees, matching vehicles, just a fleet of vehicles, a
Yeah,
full-time estimator, full-time project managers, and that I think that would be a healthy outcome for us right there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And is
Love
that
that.
is that specifically, um, is that more of a short time goal? Are you trying to grow more short time within the next year? Are you trying to grow that? Is that more of like a 5 year?
That would probably be more a long-term goal. The short-term goal,
Okay.
sorry, I kind of bounced a little bit ahead, but
You're good. You're good.
the short-term goal, like the 6 month to the year goal would be to land bigger clients
Yeah.
that are doing bigger jobs, right? The only like hard part about that one is where the economy's heading in this moment, right? I keep talking to a bunch of other business owners and they're just like, sharpen your pencils, things are getting weird, it's slowing down, but I've experienced it happen so many different times where it's like it goes up and it's crazy and it goes down. I mean, when I first started, we were working almost 7 days. Well, I was working 7 days a week for sure, but the guys were working 6 days a week, 12, 13-hour days just to keep up with what we had. And it
Yeah.
was heavy. The payroll was insane, but it was because the overtime was crazy. But then I also have experienced it mean where like it's like crickets and we're just picking up little things and then it comes again and floods and hits. But
Yeah.
my goal for the next 6 months to 12 months would be to create those relationships with those general contractors and have more irons in the fire to where we don't experience that slow.
Yeah. No, that makes
That
sense.
that would be it right there. And getting we work for a few guys that are, you know, smaller. They don't have offices maybe, and they don't have a fleet of people or a team of people. And sometimes those are the harder jobs. Those are the harder projects. Those are the projects that lag, they take forever. I mean, we've been on one job. This is probably one of the smaller jobs we've been on it for like a year.
Yeah.
And I don't understand it. I'm like, what is taking so long? Why are we waiting? What the heck? You don't make money on those jobs. You don't, because you make a million trips to the same place. So what we would like really to focus on right now is to get away from that
Yeah.
and to
That
start
makes,
just operating with more professional, more aggressive contractors that are like, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
yeah, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. Yeah, no, that's cool. That's a good direction to head. All right, and now, if you had a tool or support to remove one big obstacle, right, what would change most for you?
Well, I would need a robot that could replace me.
Yeah.
And that
To
would
to like give you more time, essentially.
so that I could surf more.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Joking, but not joking. No, I think the tool, it's funny, I just asked my buddy this the other day. I said, what are you gonna do? He's a full-time estimator. I asked him, I was like, what are you gonna do if AI comes out with this thing where you can like download your plans to the thing and it just pumps out every number for you? And he was just like, I don't know. I guess I'll become a project manager. And I'm like, that would be amazing. It would suck for you, but I'd be so happy if we
Yeah.
had something that was so dialed in where I could just upload the plans and say, here, Mr. AI, Chat GBT, or whatever you are, give me a detailed price on this per the set of plans that's been provided.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. No, it sounds like
That would be amazing.
that'd save a ton of time, a ton of resources.
Oh man.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
feel bad for the guys who lose their jobs, but somebody still has to input it. Somebody would still have to cross-reference it. Somebody would still have to make sure the machine is doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
'Cause just like with anything, just like with a bank, you still have to check your bank to make sure the money's doing what it's
Yeah.
supposed to be doing, right?
Yeah. And I think AI is heading in the direction where, it still needs human input, but it's
Yeah.
it's definitely creating more efficiency with that human input. But
Right.
yeah, no, that totally makes sense. Dude, Daniel, thank you so much. I
No,
really
man, thank you.
appreciate you coming on today, having this conversation, being open and vulnerable. Even before the podcast, talking a little bit to you, just kind of sharing your upbringing, and it was really cool. I'm really grateful.
No, thank you.
And so just to close, right, since this is the Business Leaders Legacy podcast, right, as a business leader and founder of Gibbs Electric Services. What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind?
Um, like I said earlier, I want this to be a employee-owned business,
Yeah.
and with that, I want it to be around forever, whether my kids decide to do it or whatnot. I want to create something that's going to continuously give other people opportunities for ownership. Um, I want I want I want to leave that mark behind of not just, oh, we created a successful business. Like, no, we created a successful business that blesses people with opportunities, generations of opportunities, right? Like every generation that's after me, I want this thing to be around so that it's a blessing to other people.
Yeah. No, that's cool. That's so honorable. It really is. We need more people like you.
I don't know
No,
about
so
that.
all right. Well, thank you. Thank you for all of the listeners. Again, this is Daniel Gibbs with Gibbs Electric Services. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for listening. All right.
Thank you.